Hello, Justine here with Bible Journaling Ministries creative team, and today we're working with the printables of Psalms 121:8, located in your Momentum package or in the store of Bible Journaling Ministries. And we're going to use some paintbrushes, scissors, a fine line black pen, some colored pencils, wet glue, and we're going to be working with acrylic paints, and you want your acrylics to kind of match the flowers that you'll be coloring with your colored pencils. So I'm using yellow and pink and purple, and then my buildings I'm doing blue and brown, and of course again the black and white acrylic. And then you want two different color greens. A darker green and a lighter green. And I think that is it. Of course, you want something for water to rinse out your brushes. So if you're ready, let's just go ahead and get started. So I went ahead and printed out my printables on just regular copy paper. Since I'm coloring them with colored pencils, I just thought that that was okay to be doing. If you want to do it on cardstock, I don't see why you couldn't do that either. I've sped up the video because I didn't think you wanted to sit and watch me color. But I've only chosen about 4 of the images to color. So I'm using the two flower clusters that are similar. They're kind of like reversed a little, but we're going to be using those for the windowsill for the little flower box. So I wanted them to be similar. If you don't want them similar, you can use any of the floral gather groupings here that will work. So I decided to keep them the same coloring, and what I'm doing is I'm doing them in a shading of I'm doing pink and purple on the bigger ones, and then the smaller ones I'm taking blue and purple and kind of like coloring them together, like not mixing the colors but kind of letting them blend a little bit, if that makes sense. And then I'm going through and adding blue. I just bought a bike recently, and this is kind of the color of my bike. It's a tricycle bike, adult tricycle bike. I figured I'm getting older now and I don't feel like falling off the bike. So I said, you know, 3 wheels is better than 2. Paint. So then I do the frame in the blue, and then the tires in some black, and then I had silver. And so the silver I did on the fenders, and then the wheel and the bars, the handlebars. So just you can make this completely whatever color you'd like. If you want to do, you know, primary colors or whatever. This is just an idea for you to get of what you can do with these printables. And there's plenty here that you can do several different pages, maybe even with the bigger printables, you can color them and make some cards with them or something like that. Now I have to say that I'm not the best in colored pencils. I know you've heard me say this before, but I do my best, and I just kind of color. I don't really worry much about shading. I will go through and kind of add a little bit of a deeper color of the same color around the edges. So yeah. And then I will cut these out once I'm done with them. We're going to move on over to the Bible here. I'm just placing a line about 2/3 down, and then I'm deciding on where I want my buildings. So I'd say maybe make a box a third of the way over on the left hand side here. And then I'm making a door, and I'm making it a roundish kind of door. Now this is pretty simple painting. I don't want you to get nervous about it. We're just gonna just start learning some painting techniques and have some fun with that. You can prep your page if you want. With acrylic paints, there's not really any necessity for it. And it will cover up your wording if you do if you do it in a Bible that has lettering, it will cover it up, but you have to use probably 2 coats. So depending on what you want to do. Basic, simple. Here we got the window, we got a door, we got 2 buildings, and then the front part is the road. And we're going to start with some brown. Now, it doesn't matter what color brown, and you don't even have to make it brown. You can make it whatever color, maybe a yellow or an orange. It's a building, it's a house. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So again, we're going to just go ahead and start with some brown. If you want to start with a lighter brown and then add a darker brown to it, that's up to you. Sometimes people are a little nervous when they're first starting to paint, and this, like I said, is a very basic painting that we're doing. I'm going to add my blue, and you might want to add some white to the, I use a paper plate. So whatever you want to use for your paint. Paper plate just seems easier, and I get to throw it out when I'm done. So I'm just going to go right in, and I'm using, I think it's a number 12 paintbrush. It's just a flat paintbrush. It's probably like 1/2 inch, I think. Yep, 1/2 inch paintbrush. If you're nervous about using that big of a paintbrush, then go ahead and use a smaller one. I'm going to go ahead and go around the door. I'm not going to paint the door or the window. And we are going to make windows in the other building. So when we do the blue part, you're going to see that I paint the windows on later. But if you want to keep a space for your windows in the blue, on the blue building, then you can do that instead of painting it later like I did. I mean, for me, it wasn't any big deal, but 1 coat will probably do with this. If you have a heater, you might want to have that next to a little blow dryer heater. It might help you to your paint to dry quicker in certain areas. So you have two ways to do this. You can take some white paint and you can, while your brown is still wet, you can blend in some of the white, or you can dry brush. So blending in is when the paint is still wet, and then you just kind of blend it so that you don't really see lines. If you make a mistake or if it looks too much white, then you can go over it, back over it with your brown again. So this is just kind of a fun way to learn how to do some shading, and it may not look great to you, but trust me, when it dries, it will look good. So I'm doing kind of both here. My paint was a little wet, so I just went in with the white, but I am going to go back over it and dry brush it a little bit. I'm painting my window white here, and then I'm going to paint it on the blue side. So the blue side also, when you do that, you want to do the highlighting with the with the white. So you're going to add a little bit of white and blend it in. The thing is, you want texture. So in order to get texture, you don't want to have just flat blue. You want just kind of like different colors, because you see different shades when you see when you look around. You know, the sun is shining different ways, and I'm not a I'm still learning myself, and I'm the type of painting I do is more whimsical. But the other way to do it is just adding some white to my blue to add to the door. So it kind of matches the building, but yet it's a little bit, the shade is a little bit lighter. So I realized that for some reason my recording turned off when I was doing the street. So we're going to do it here. I'm making gray, and I just sped it up a little bit. So we're going to add gray, and now you can see here that it was okay. It's okay if the black didn't totally mix in, because we want texture here again. So I'm going to go through, and this is a blending. I'm blending black and white into the gray after I've painted it. And you just kind of keep going over it until you just have different shades going throughout. That was a little quick. So this is what I did in my Bible, and what I'm doing is just going over it again, adding some white. You can even add some more gray. These are my white windows. Like I said earlier, you could paint them, or paint them earlier and draw them, but I decided later to add some windows. So, and that's just basically regular white. I'm going to give that 2 coats. Highlighting around the door with some white. Again, if you mess up, just go and grab a little bit more of that blue. And then I'm going to go around it again with the blue again. So you'll see that in a second. I'm adding some brown because this is gravel. So just doing a little bit of highlighting, dry brush. And a lot of times I take my brush and I use it going up straight to make a line. So like you'll see me holding it up straight and then just doing a horizontal line and then just brushing it through. And then adding white to by where the door is to add some depth. So I'm adding like a white line there. And then adding Just some more dry brushing here. So dry brushing is when you, the brush itself is mostly dry with a little bit of the paint on it, and then you just lightly go over the area that you want to dry brush. So hardly any paint on the brush. So I dry brushed the buildings, I kind of dry brushed the door. Everything gets dry brushed to give it some highlighting. I'm switching to a liner now, and I'm going to, actually it's a flat brush. You can use whatever size you want, but I'm using about 1/4 inch, and I'm just making little marks to make little shutters. And if you notice, I'm not dipping in every time. I'm going through, painting it on, and then going back through so that they're different colors, and it's not one, I'm letting some white come through. Then I'm going to outline it with the brown to kind of make the shutters, and then a little windowsill. So what I recommend is if I'm going too fast for you, you might want to go ahead and pause the video and maybe rewind so that you can see what I'm doing here. If you don't like it, guess what? You can just paint over it and do it again. But this is, like I said, this is more of a whimsical type of painting. It's not something that, I'm not an artist per se. So I'm just grabbing a little bit of the blue on the edge of my flat brush and just kind of blending in the darker blue to shade it. And you can use the wet brush so that it's so that it'll blend easier. And I'm going to do it on the same thing on the bigger window. Giving a windowsill, even though it's brown, you could use a different color brown if you want. But I could decide to keep the same because what I'm going to do is just go over it with black, and then it's the windowsill. I'm very relaxed when I'm painting too. I think that is like the thing that relaxes me the most as far as craft wise. I'm going to give it a little round knob with black, and then I'm just going to go very loosely. I'm not worried about straight lines. I'm not worried about, I'm just going to go highlight different areas, the windowsill, a little highlighting around. If you want to use the thin marker, if you're not comfortable outlining with a paintbrush, you can use a marker and just make some highlighted lines. Windowsill, the shutters, around the window, on the shade part itself. Like I said, around the door. You can even do a little bit on the buildings if you wanted to. And I'm thinking that it looks good. You can see it's a little crooked and everything, but like I said, this is more whimsical than anything. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some greenery to the building because it is a little plain. So we're going to take some green, and we're just going to kind of pounce. I use kind of like an older brush that I have, and I'm going to just pounce a little bit. So that means just kind of taking your brush and going up and down with it with very little bit of paint on it, and then it's kind of look like a bush type thing. Then I'm taking my smaller 1/4 inch, or if you only have the round, that's fine, but you want to dip one side in lighter green, one side in darker green, or actually here I'm doing white. So one side in white, one side in green, and kind of just making a mark. I'm not even worried that it looks like a leaf. I just want it to look like something. So you can just place your brush down and maybe pull it a little bit, or even just a little pulling the brush towards you a little bit to make kind of like leaves. And then we're going to use the back of the brush to mimic the colors of the flowers that we colored earlier. And we're just going to make dots, just random dots. So it kind of looks like a hanging flowers, you know. So I'm using purple and this peachy pinky color. I guess kind of like a coral color. We're going to put the bike there, and then we're going to put the flowers on the windowsill. And then we're going to need a bigger one for the bigger window. So we're going to pounce, just randomly using the back end of the brush. First I do one color, and then I go through another color. You can even mix them a little bit if you want. And then I think I'm going to add a little bit of white just to pop it out. Just a very little bit of, just a couple dots of the white. So it was kind of like dry brushing, pouncing, and then it was using green and white on opposite sides of the brush to make kind of like leaves. Just kind of by making short little strokes. And then dotting to make some flowers. And you can do that around the door too if you wanted to. Actually, we're going to do a wreath on the door, so I'll show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and color. Do a quick coloring of the bigger one. Just using the same colors to keep it all in the same color theme, maybe adding a little bit more yellow. I didn't even get to read the verse. Let me do that while we're coloring here. Psalms 121:8. Yahweh will keep you going out and you are coming in from this time forward and forevermore. So what you'll be doing is while you're coloring, you know, maybe thinking about this verse, maybe before you start your art project, kind of diving in a little bit deeper, researching a little bit more what the verse talks about. And you can do that on the internet. You know, you can look up verses and pray about it, asking God, you know, what is it that he wants you to know during this time of creating with him. So I'm going to give this a quick cutout. And then I'm going to go ahead and place them, and I hope that you enjoy doing this simple paint in your Bible. And if you don't have the Interleave Bible, that's the Bible I'm using here, you can use one that is and just cover the whole page of the Bible, or you can add an insert or, to your journaling Bible, or use a mixed media book. And then I like to do that sometimes and write the verse. And there we go. So it's a little not, you know, perfectly scaled, but I really think I enjoyed doing this page. I hope that you'll enjoy it too. I'm just going to go ahead and glue on the images. You can even use a smaller bike too if you want to do that. As always, if you would like to be among the first to know what's going on, just go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can know when there's new videos coming through. And if you want to purchase, if you're not part of Momentum, or you just want to purchase this this set, you can go to BibleJournalingMinistries.com, and I think it's probably /store, and then you can just go ahead and purchase the kit. And if you subscribe to the newsletter, you'll get a free sample each month of the graphics that Tracy gives us. I'm going to just go ahead and do a little circle on the door to make a wreath, basically doing what I did on the wall, and just making it into a round little circle. Dotting with the little colors. You can add a bow to it if you wanted to. You don't even have to do the wreath on the door. You can do some of the smaller flowers. Just be creative. I mean, that's what this time is for. And again, if you want to go through and highlight with the black thin marker, just to give more highlights. Notice I'm just going quick. I'm not really worried about straight lines, just going through. Remember to date it though. That's always fun to do, to remember to date it. You might even want to write a word or something that God gives you, maybe in the street there. I'm going to go ahead and put the verse. I'm going to cut out the verse and put that on, and then I will be done. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. So again, remember to like and subscribe. And if you do the page or any page, go ahead and post it on the Facebook page. We love to see what you're doing. So I hope that you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.